It's a story about a world very different from ours.
'Tis a world where all people are equal and no conflict exists, much like the world His Highness once dreamt of.
To put it another way, this is a fantasy.
Your fool of a king is dead!
Without an heir to wear the crown, what will become of the royal magic?
The fortress at the border was raised by a human mere days ago. You can only blame your king's weakness. Who deserves his crown? A man of proven strength!
The people of my land desire a new king, and I shall provide.
Welcome one and all to the inauguration of the tournament for the throne!
Small wonder when any among the populace might be king.
Their speeches of tribal harmony mean nothing, when every day they cheat and abuse us!
It tells of a world united as one tribe.
If only our lives were anything like the world in your novel.
Our lives are decided at birth by tribal purity, or by the differences that make us who we are.
There was a plot in his life. One I wish I'd written out sooner.
You're no ray of hope!
You gave up on your hopes, but I will not.
Now let's see what manner of story you'll weave.
Let's do it. You'll be a hero. Trust me.
Oh, power of kings!
Hello everybody, MegaZardX here, back at it again to give you another very exciting collection reflection video where I take the time out to just go through my whole entire gaming library. It could be a game, could be a console, or it could be a limited edition, but today, ladies and gents, we're going to be talking about none other than Metaphor Refantazio. Look, this was my game of the year for 2024. I didn't expect Atlas to come out here swinging in that year, coming right off the heels of Persona 3 Reload though, but man, oh man, they managed to strike, hit, and deliver, and it literally caught me, along with probably a good amount of other people, off guard when this game came out in, what was it, October 2024 though. So that's what we're going to be going through and talk about in today's video though, because I have a lot of stuff to say about Metaphor Refantazio though. But if you hadn't already done so, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date on all things video game related I feel like talking about and discussing. And if you're curious to want to support the channel just a little bit more and become a channel member, then feel free to hit that join link down below. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into this video. Metaphor Refantazio. Where in the world do I even begin to talk about this game? Well, first, in terms of the whole entire major theme of this game, it's about a fantasy being recontextualized into actual life, like being able to actually do something with your dreams and aspirations and actually manage to do something about it and make a work of fiction actually become the real life breathing thing that you're going to move forward with in the future though. Just kind of keep that in mind while you're going through and traversing and playing this game though. But I remember originally when Atlas managed to first announce this game though, I was looking at all the different presentations and stuff that they were doing for this game though and the lead ups to it though, and I was like, this game looks interesting. Obviously they said it was made by the same team that made the Persona series and such, and I was like, oh okay. I was like, that sounds a little interesting, a little intriguing. Look, I really love myself from some Persona 5 Royal. I love myself some Persona 3 Reload that I played earlier that year though. So I was like, you know what, eventually I might get around to playing this game though, but I wasn't going to get it around launch because that was the same day that Dragon Ball Sparking Zero also came out though. But rest assured, I managed to carve out just enough time for me to be able to play this game in the month of December. And gosh, I was playing that for like almost that whole entire month throughout like almost a good quarter of January itself, because when it was all said and done, it took me about in the net range of like north of 100 hours for me to go through and beat this game. Like it's up there in terms of like some similar Persona hours and stuff like that though. But from everything I got from the developers and stuff, like this was in a sense was kind of meant to be like an anniversary game for Atlas in general. Like look, Atlas is going on now 30 years old, and they kind of want to make an anniversary game where it kind of made a lot of different callbacks to some of its past history. Like what we known Atlas to make Shin Megami Tensei series. They made side things on the side like Captain Full Body, obviously the Persona series and stuff like that. You got your Soul Hackers over here, Devil Summoners and stuff like that. Like you have a whole bunch of stuff that Atlas has made throughout all of its different generations of it, being out there on the market in terms of just being able to put all these great Atlas games out there to fruition. And they kind of want to do some things a little bit different, but also in this kind of collab where it pulls a lot of influences from a lot of different other games, wants to give it its own unique identity. And it stemmed it all on that theme I told you about earlier about fantasy. And that's kind of its main bread and butter, because you're going through this game as the protagonist. Look, you don't necessarily have all the answers or the questions and stuff like that. All you know is you're trying to save this prince who's been kind of like cursed by some kind of magic or whatever though, and there's like some corruption and stuff that's kind of going on in the church, and as well as like the kingdom itself. You can kind of see that from like a far way out though, but your main priority is trying to save this prince, and you're accompanied by this fairy that's called Gallica, and along the way you manage to pick up certain other people along the team, such as like Stroll, Hulkenberg and stuff. So it's like you start to accumulate together this small little merry band of people to try to make a major difference in this world, because one of the main things that's always a constant reoccurring theme is the fact that, I'm just going to give it to y'all point blank, like people were being racist up in this game. Like you have a lot of different races up in this thing though. You have like people that are like batwing creatures and stuff, like Heisman's people, and then you have people over here like almost like elves and stuff like that though. And you had like a whole bunch of different races and stuff like that. And then you as a protagonist, there's something about your unique race, but I won't go too much up in it because that gets almost into spoiler territory though. But regardless, to say there's a lot of different races up in this game though, and they treat people differently based on whatever race you are though. So you see a lot of poverty up in the game. You see all these like rich people and stuff that have all the money though, and it's like people are just not being treated fair across the board. You start to notice that even while you're running around in the capital city, once you finally manage to make it there towards the very beginning of the game though, you got like people laying over here on the slums, like halfway dead and stuff like that though. And then obviously you have other people that are like residing within the church, and they're kind of a little snooby and stuff like that though. So there's a lot of different prejudices and stuff that's actually getting portrayed out here in this game though. But regardless to say, when you're going through and traversing through all of these different worlds, you're trying to make a difference. Not only are you trying to actually, save the prince as like your primary goal though, but you're also trying to take down this dude that seems to be causing a lot of different conflicts. And yes, I'm talking about Luis, because Luis, man, this man, oh my goodness gracious, like this dude was a menace from start to finish. Like you instantly could just tell, even in that very first cutscene that they give you in the game prior to you even starting up the title screen, you can just tell that this man was gonna be full of crap. Like he has his own set of agendas and stuff like that, and you could tell it was gonna be like a tall mountain to climb to get over this dude though, because this dude kind of wanted to do things in his own light, like even so much so that like he killed the king at the very beginning of the game though, which kind of spurred on a whole bunch of other things that kind of led into the main conflict of who will be the next king of this whole entire kingdom though. And for Luis, he wanted to do it, and he had his own agenda and stuff that he wanted to do once he managed to become king though. But you yourself, obviously you don't want him to become king, because literally the prince and stuff, you think that Luis might have had something to do with his death and stuff like that. So obviously like this dude is not a good man, point blank period though. So obviously you're trying to go throughout this whole entire game and trying to gather enough of the people's faith and stuff like that, because there's a big old competition that's taking place of like, who's going to become the next king and stuff. So you kind of going from like region to region to region, solving different issues or addressing the people's needs and stuff like that, to be able to gather the people's support. So that way, whoever has the most followers backing that person at the end of this big long period will actually be recognized as the king though. And even after the king is dead though, like you had this floating dude's face in the sky though, and he's governed, how this big old competition taking place though. And it's basically the main gist of the whole entire story from start to finish. Obviously there's a lot of other things in the middle though. Now I don't want to kind of delve on too much in case you hadn't already played though, but rest assured it's a really great and phenomenal story though. It definitely will hit you in the feels, because like what I already said before with prejudice and stuff and racism kind of being a thing though, they hit a lot of different aspects on that in this one game, with it being a fantasy game that bleeds over into real life, where you've seen that stuff either happen in the past, or obviously some of that stuff is still ongoing though. So there's a lot of things that you can pull as just life stories from this one game, even though it's set in a fantasy setting though. Now let's go ahead and talk about the gameplay itself, because for the most part this game has the skeletal framework of a Persona series game though. Like, you know, if you ever played through Persona 5 Royal or more recently Persona 3 Reload, it's set up very similar to that because this is made by the same people that made the Persona series though. So obviously you had your basic attack button that you're just able to kind of go up in there, do some damage and stuff like that. However, the one thing that makes this game unique is in the fact that in the Persona line series you have personas you summon in, but this one, it's all based upon archetypes. And these archetypes are basically the things that kind of give you the extra little bit of the extra little bit of poof that you need in terms of taking out your enemies and stuff. They're the ones that will cause you to burn SP, be able to do additional damage, where it's like a bunch of different magical things, or you can use things that kind of do stat boosts and everything else in between though. But yeah, all this stuff was based upon the archetypes, and you have all of these different skill trees and such. Now, the one thing that makes this game different in comparison to our Persona line series is the fact that with Persona, the main protagonist, hey, you can give him any one of those different personas and stuff like that, and he'd be like the Joker, literally the jack of all trades and stuff. And then all your other side characters are kind of limited to just the basic thing that they're usually used to getting though. However, this game's a little bit different. With the archetypes, you can teach anybody on your team any given archetypes, and obviously you have 4 people at max battling at one given time though. But with you being able to assign all these different archetypes and stuff, you can kind of vary up everybody's personal gameplay to the way how you personally like to go through and play through a game. Like if you want to have a mage or something like that, there's an archetype for that. If you want to have someone that does like more physical damage, they got archetypes for that though. And you know, that's the thing that kind of makes this game a little bit more different and a little bit more unique. It's because it gives a little bit more power to the players as you're going through and traversing through this whole entire game though. So you can really kind of play this game to your very own liking. So that's one of the things I really do like and appreciate though. Now obviously, you know, in terms of like the combat itself, also you have like, it's turn-based. It's not necessarily like an action-based thing though, but there is a little bit of action even before when you get into the battles themselves, because as you're kind of running around throughout these different dungeons, like these open areas where you're actually able to do actual combat and stuff, you can actually start off battles by actually like hacking away with your sword and stuff and doing damage to them before the start of the battle. If you manage to break the enemy before going into battle, then that does a certain set amount of damage at the very beginning, and then you can kind of, you know, get like a free extra turn because the enemy's in stun and stuff that they kind of took from Persona 3 as well. Recently, like, you know how you can actually start up a battle by attacking them or hitting them in a blind spot or whatever. That same kind of aspect relates and flows over into this game as well though. So there's some cool things you're able to do that gets a little bit of action, but it's still mostly a turn-based game though. And then, you know, outside of that, I just really like the combat. It was really quick, easy, snappy. You can kind of get in, get out and stuff like that. Obviously, you know, they don't teach you everything about the combat within like the first hour. No. The system is so deep to where it takes like quite a few different hours before they say, hey, you can do this. You can do synergy attacks and stuff like that. You can switch out your archetypes and do this and stuff. Obviously, you can do guards. You can pass along your turn. There's a lot of different things you can do in this game that basically allows you to account for any kind of given situation, whether you're just facing tough enemies within a dungeon or fighting really strong and powerful bosses though. So that's really cool. Now the other thing that you have to think about while going through this game, with it being an RPG, is a sense of adventure and stuff like that, like the world atmosphere, like the setting and stuff like that. Man, I can't say how well they managed to execute on this, because I remember just walking through, you know, the capital city. I felt like you can do quite a bit of stuff even in that though, but obviously as you're going through and exploring these other areas throughout the whole entire kingdom though, you have like a gauntlet runner where this lets you kind of, you know, run across land and stuff like that, or potentially swim across water, and then you get like one other major ability towards the end of the game though. But throughout your whole entire travels like that, like just being able to stand on top of your gauntlet runner and just looking out towards the horizon and stuff and seeing all this different stuff that's going on around you, it really kind of gives a great sense of adventure that you're really able to feel in this one game in particular though. And then even beyond that, obviously with it being made by the Persona developers, you also have support systems and stuff where you're actually able to go in and have these different conversations with all your different, you know, friends that you meet along the way, whether there be, you know, direct companions that you're able to, you know, battle with, or just side people on the side that actually help support you as well though. So It's kind of similar to like the confidants that you have in Persona though. However, the only little nitpick I will say about that is the fact that you don't have the ability to be able to hear every line voice acted. You hear the very first conversation that you have with them voice acted, you hear the very last section of it voice acted, but everything else in the middle, it's not voice acted. I don't understand why they didn't lean more into that though. It allows me to get a little bit more emotionally connected with some of these characters though. But I digress. That was like probably the only little complaint I had in this game overall. And then obviously you had like different side quests and stuff that you're able to do and complete, different missions and stuff in terms of like bounties, like big major like enemies and stuff, or people that you get to take down and manage to accumulate some money and stuff like that. Now look here, in terms of the side quests, this was like the only game I could honestly think in most recent history where I went through and beat nearly every single side quest that was remotely available. I think I only missed one, and it was because I ran out of time at the very end of the game though. Because, and speaking about time, the way how they basically section up these major chunks in the game in terms of the story is they had the whole calendar system be brought back over from the Persona series. However, instead of having 7 days a week, twist some things up. Hey, it's a fantasy. You don't have to do things just like how we have a traditional 7-day calendar. No. They give you a 5-day calendar system, and there's major dates that they say, hey, you got to do, beat, or accomplish something by this given day. So you get to kind of prioritize, hey, do you want to go out and explore dungeons? Do you want to do a little bit of side quests here? Do you want to work on the main story here? Do you want to go ahead and build up your relationships there? There's a lot of different things that you can do from your day in and your day out stuff. And it just kind of gives a lot of power to the players though, because I always like RPGs where it's like you basically kind of shape your whole entire story, and you get to be able to do anything that you seem fit for your own adventure that will basically bolster not only just yourself but all the team members that will reside with you though. So there's a lot of great things that you're able to do and accomplish in this game in particular though, and I can't say it or discuss it even more so to the point of where I will almost like borderline be spoiling this game though. But rest assured, there's a lot of great and fun moments in Metaphor Refantazio. If you had not even looked at this game remotely though, there's a lot of great themes. The story is absolutely great. The gameplay is quick, get in, get out. Even though it is turn-based, they do add a little bit of an action aspect when you're out in the open world and stuff. Right, even before you manage to go into, you know, the combat itself though. There's a lot of check boxes that this game does right, even more so than, I'll just say this, than even Persona 3 Reload. I want to say that this game for me personally tops Persona 5 Royal, because that's like one of my all-time favorite Atlas games though, but this is a very close second. Like, they do a lot of great things up in this game though, but don't let me be the judge of this. Look up some little bit of gameplay yourself though. Look at some of those different developer interviews and stuff that they managed to say about this game, because there's a lot up in this game. And I just basically barely scratched the surface for this one dedicated collection reflection video though. I was just trying to pull as many memories from it as possible though, but man, the characters, the cast, Heisme was like one of my most favorite characters up in this game though. The voice acting is on peak. Like, everybody is good up in this game. Gallica, special shout out to her, because I didn't think she would be, thought she would be a little more annoying or whatever though, but she turned out to be also one of my favorite characters in the game as well though. But everything is so good up in this game. You know it's good whenever it got you hooked and wants you to have you beaten every single side quest that's up in this game. Man. Hey, you're sleeping on this game if you hadn't played it, looked in it, or even tried it. That's all I'm gonna say. Obviously, this game is on PS5. Who knows? It might come out to the Switch 2 at some point in the future, though. Maybe you'll manage to pick up some more sales, though. But y'all gotta let me know down in the comment section down below. What all do you think about Metaphor Refantazio if you manage to go through and play this game remotely at all, though? Because, man, this was just a great experience. I don't know what other way how I can say this to try to convince anybody out there that hadn't already tried this game to play this game. Man, you're just sleeping on this game. Good stuff up in this thing, though. I'll end it right there. I don't know how I was going to end this video though, but I'm just going to end it right there though. So if you really like this video, make sure you're going to hit that like button, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and that bell to stay up to date. All things video game related, I feel like talking about and discussing it. And if you're curious to become a channel member just to support the channel just a little bit more, then feel free to hit that join link down below. But that's going to do it for today's video. So remember y'all, until our video I make next, see y'all.